Bitcoin's had it. Bitcoin's had it with another fake ETF, as Bitcoin does trade actually over 30,000 bucks for just a split second there, as some volatility comes into this market. A lot more exciting things. And today's video, we're going to be going over some higher term time frame setups for Bitcoin, specifically with the statistics that do accompany them. And other than that, I want to, yes, many people noticed it. Elsa gave me a black eye. She must be stopped. She must be stopped. She's out of control right now. And domestic abuse is real, guys. It's very, very real. And it's very nasty as well. Stop laughing in the background. There's nothing funny about domestic abuse. You disgusting little... I won't finish that sentence. Anyways, let's just jump right into the price action right now. Starting off with, let's actually follow up on yesterday's price action analysis because things did happen. So yesterday we were looking at a closure above 27,500 as likely to beget continuation all the way up to 29,200-ish region based off the HPDR bands, maybe even 30,000 bucks. And obviously both of those things were hit yesterday. So what does that mean in the more near term? Well, we don't really have too much to be going off of except for the higher term time frame closures as of right now. So both of those criteria have been fulfilled and, well, the subsequent result has been met. So other than that, there's really not much to be said about that, except for in the short term time frames, probably do expect Bitcoin to spend a little bit of time consolidating around this region. Anywhere above 27,500 is still, going to be favoring the overall BULAs. If we go over here to the 5-day time frame, it is going to be closing tonight as well. The highest term time frame closing the soonest, I should add, and there are several important things going on here. First and foremost, we do see that 5-day is showing a potential for another drive of phantom hidden not bearish, but hidden bullish divergence in this case. If things do close basically here or higher, especially anywhere above the last 5-day high, which is 28,100 on the index. So assuming that Bitcoin closed above there, which right now is trading about $100 above with 18 hours, 14 minutes, and 32 seconds left to go. Well, I would be looking at that as yet another indication that Bitcoin probably does have another march towards the top side of this range. Also, Bitcoin reclaiming all major moving averages here that I do have on the chart, the 55, the 21, and the 9. 9 is currently coming in around a little bit above that 27.5-ish region. So I would say that 27.5, very, very important for today's closure. If Bitcoin closes below, I would be looking for it to once again play within this lower block here that we've been seeing for the past damn 2 months. And if it closes above, I'd be looking for it to kind of wedge its way back up closer to 29,000 bucks yet again. Maybe in a little bit more than that. I did want to go over a little bit of what happened yesterday as well, just from like a psychological perspective. So Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but Cointelegraph came out and erroneously tweeted that the Bitcoin ETF, iShares ETF was approved. This was false, and who knows the motivations behind tweeting something like that, whether it was just a genuine mishap or whether there were maybe more nefarious intentions behind that. Who am I to speculate on such things? But more importantly, what we did get was we got a taste of what the market would kind of do if and when the ETF does get approved. So I think a lot of people are looking at an ETF approval as more of a, it's like an a when statement rather than an if. I'm on the same page as that as well. But it was very, very interesting here because on that announcement, things did fly up. Things were already kind of trending up, starting off yesterday, before that, but Bitcoin did shoot up another couple $1,000 upon that announcement, and then immediately sold off afterwards after it was explained that this is bullshit. Anyways, what does that mean? It does mean that we got a little bit of a taste of what you probably would expect if and when that does happen. At least that's what I would be interpreting that as. Now, an ETF getting approved, is that long-term bullish? I mean, long-term, yeah, I do think that it is bullish. Just like long-term CME futures getting approved was bullish as well. In the short term, in the more near term, it was a sell the news event, however. So these sort of things do need to be kind of, taken apart because it's not like it's more complicated than that, right? Anyways, yes, so what else do we have based off of the advent of yesterday's price action? If I go back here to the 5-day time frame again, closing tonight, I do want to say that there is something that is starting to be baked in here as far as patterns go. Again, I'm not a big pattern guy, but they do, for whatever reason, get the most engagement on social media. And in this case, we do see that Bitcoin is really starting to wedge itself into, hey, that's not what I meant to do. Get rid of this. It's really starting to wedge itself into what? It's starting to wedge itself into an ascending triangle here, which is, again, when it comes to patterns, like the only thing that really matters in my opinion is trend. And that's what makes all patterns. And what's an ascending triangle? It's just higher lows. So what does it mean? It means that there's a higher probability of a long-term upside resolution from this. But as you can see, the apex for this really wouldn't be coming in till like that's pretty crazy, like 2024, like a year out from now. Can these things break sooner rather than later? Yeah, absolutely they can. But that would imply that what if Bitcoin did stay in here for like until like January, February of next year? I mean, well, I guess that's actually not that far away now, right? So you got November, December, January, February, so like 3-4 months. Maybe that just makes sense. I don't know. But yeah, more importantly, this started to really look like that higher low again with that hidden bullish effort. It's starting to formulate, potentially confirmed as soon as tonight's closure. Again, just want to see it here or higher, basically, and that starts to look, pretty good for the boo laws, I do think, long term. Anyways, so we've gone through that. Let's now go into the HPDR bands. We were looking at this yesterday, as well as kind of be getting an area of interest around the top side of the 50% of historical returns range high here, which was about 29,000 or a little bit above 29,000 bucks. You can see that Bitcoin did wake up into that region. And again, sold off after that. Again, multiple higher lows along this area over here on that 50%, which is good. And more importantly, we do see that HPDRO directional volatility is actually starting to tick up here. What is not as interesting with that is that just general volatility is still trending down. So it's like you really need to see actual volatility trending up plus a direction on the HPDRO to get a bias on overall direction, or at least like a major move in that direction, basically. Volatility obviously referencing the dispersion of returns. So it's like if that one's still trending down, that's like, okay, well, it doesn't really matter where directional volatility is going. It's probably still going to be range bound, but the range is stepping up overall, which does favor the boo laws. Last time that we saw something like this was back on over here, kind of stepping up. So it did get that next move up in February from about 21,000 bucks to 25,000 bucks. Anyways, moving back on over here. Currently, the range as shown would show the top side at about just under 29,000 bucks and bottom side at 26,400, with the average coming in at 27,500. So I'd be looking at the average again in like a big focus, meaning that if Bitcoin, as long as Bitcoin's above, probabilities remain to the upside in the more near term. If Bitcoin does start to crack back below 27.5, then I'd probably be looking for this one to come back down, and then what we spoke about over here probably comes into play, and you see something like this, right, where it continues to kind of trudge along here. But tonight's closure, I do think is actually rather important, although I don't expect like any fireworks today. It's just important where it does close. For lack of a better term. Anyways, moving on here, we can go through stochastic momentum. Do we want to start off with the week? I mean, the weekly hasn't changed, obviously, but it still remains to the upside as long as Bitcoin's above 26 on CME. 5-day time frame closing tonight will also remain to the upside, assuming that Bitcoin closes above that same number. 2-day time frame is actually going to be turning maybe down if Bitcoin does close below 28,340, currently trading literally 20 bucks below that. So not really like confidence inducing either way, kind of right on the pivot there. Daily time frame going to be showing a pivot of 28,500, 28,600-ish region. So as of right now, we'll be down. 12-hour time frame is going to be showing upside pressure above 27.1. 6-hour time frame going to be showing actually downside below 29. 4-hour time frame going to be showing also downside below 20, basically like 29.9. And hourly time frame is going to be showing downside below 28,400. So I'm seeing a lot of bifurcation in this. Just looking at price action, I do think that things kind of trade sideways and down here a little bit. It just really matters where the 5-day does close. Anyways, I do want to also present another thing over here, because it does need to be said that as of right now, there is a volatility versus stochastic momentum setup on the 2-day time frame. This one's been very snaky, very sneaky. But as of right now, volatility is starting to expand. I mean, it is above 22.5 percentile, and we do see that the 2-day stochastic oscillator is positioned to the downside as long as Bitcoin's below 29,100. So that would have a higher probability of a downside resolution from this, again, closing tonight. So that would, give it a higher probability. I've updated all of them to the present now, as far as all of the 2-day time frame setups like this have gone. And for the short side setups, 17 out of 20, where the stochastic oscillator was pointed to the downside alongside volatility expansion, did play out with, major downside price action, 85% win rate, which is pretty fucking high. Taking about 15 15, like almost 2.5 weeks on average, with an average move of about 25.25%. So, does that mean that this one's going to definitely work out as well? No. But especially if Bitcoin starts to close back below 27.5, really have to entertain the possibility of that. At least I would. Just looking at it right now, what could that potentially look like? I mean, if it does play out, I mean, that would bring Bitcoin all the way down to $21,000. That'd be pretty nasty. So I think, if you are bullish here, you got to be kind of hoping or praying to Bula Jesus that this is going to be one of the failures, which we've seen 3 big ones in the history of Bitcoin here. So anyways, going back into it, I did want to present that because that is, that is a statistic and that is relevant and that is in the cards as of right now. Here's a thing though, and something that I completely forgot to bring up on this particular video. If there ever is going to be a day that Bitcoin is going to see upside price action, Tuesday is the day, as we've gone over before. If I bring up my, hey, get the fuck off there, sir. There we go. If I bring up my, my stats over here, we can see that Tuesday has the highest bullish rate of all daily closures throughout Bitcoin's history, giving it 62.5% positive closures for an average gain of just over 2%. So if let's say Bitcoin did play that out before end of day here, 2% to the upside would put Bitcoin at 29,100. That actually put it back above those pivots, thus turning those statistics in the favor of the boo laws there. So yeah, interesting. I suppose it is certainly the most bullish day compared to everything else on the board, which is all under 50% minimum. But yeah, fair enough. I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. May the statistics be with you, sirs and zers. I will be signing off on that note. And we'll be back at it tomorrow, seeing if Tuesday was yet another interesting day or not. But yeah, with that said, as always, I want to wish you the best of the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.